Ben was asking me earlier, why are you so much misunderstood? And I said, I'm not misunderstood, I'm misrepresented. And the guys in Communication Central Bank know that when people said, oh, Northern agenda or religious agenda, and they wanted to reply, I said, don't reply. I have been in this world long enough for anyone who knows me to know it is a lie. I went to a Catholic school at the age of 8. I came to King's College at the age of 10. I have never been anything other than a Nigerian. I will never be anything other than a Nigerian, and I don't care what anyone says. And so I refused to allow anyone to even try to defend that. It is so ridiculous. In 2011, we're having a presidential election, and the main issue is whether the president should come from north or south of the Niger. In 2011. Is that really our biggest problem? Is that our concern? And is that what we're looking for? And this goes to the heart of the problem of Nigeria, and it's a problem of the elite. Because this language of north, south, this is about a small group of people who come from different parts of the country who are negotiating how to share the spoils of power among themselves. It's not about the man on the street. Where the president comes from has no bearing on the man on the street. Whether he prays in church or mosque or in a shrine has no bearing on the man in the street. What we need to ask ourselves as Nigerians is why, as a nation, have we not realized our potential? Is it because of where the people are from, or because of the policies that have been pursued? And what can we do to improve those policies? Now, I've listened to all the kind words said about me, and I've said this before. When people stand up and say, oh, you know, Sanusi is very courageous, I say, this is the only country, or it must be the only country in the world where it requires extraordinary courage to put a thief in prison. It's what people do every day. That's all we grew up knowing. If a man steals, he goes to prison. Why do you need courage to do it? It tells you how bad the country has become. Now, the real questions that need to be addressed are the following. Where do the potentials lie for the Nigerian economy that we have missed? We've had growth in GDP of 7% per annum on the average in the last 10 years. The bulk of sub-Saharan Africa has been growing at a very fast rate in the last 3, 4, 5 years. And as I was saying at a function in Washington just 2, 3 days ago, this growth is remarkable, but very, very vulnerable, because it is happening not so much because of policies we have pursued, but in spite of wrong policies. If you have good rainfall and agricultural productivity increases by 20%, you add 8% to GDP for doing nothing. God's kindness. If oil price goes up, we have some GDP growth. But is that how an economy is built? We are one of the world's leading gas resource countries. We don't produce our power. We export crude oil and we import petroleum products. So now oil price has gone up. We should be smiling, but it's costing us more to import petroleum products. We have a large cotton belt. We import textiles from China. We have all the cattle in the world. Do you know WAMCO imports powdered milk from England, and adds water and tints it. Milk, imported from the UK. We do not have a leather goods industry. If you did an input-output table of the Nigerian economy, you would find what I call black holes. Nigeria is the #1 producer of cassava in the world, and we import starch. So the question is, this is a country, forget oil. You know, we talk about Japan doesn't have oil. Most of the richest countries in the world don't have natural resources. This is a country that is literally sitting on a gold mine. And that gold mine can be exploited by simply moving to block those holes. Stop importing fabric from China and build your own textiles. Nigeria is a country of 150 million people. If the Chinese and the Americans and the Dutch and the British are selling fabric to us, that means the market is here. Why can't this market be for Nigerian industries? Why are we spending foreign exchange importing refined petroleum products? In 2010, we spent $1 billion importing rice. $1 billion. And we complain about foreign reserves going down. What does it take to produce rice in Nigeria? In Cross River, you can produce enough rice in Cross River to feed the entire country. So, the real challenge and the real debate we want to have as Nigerians is not, does the president come from? We've had presidents from all over the country. And I can assure you, I have seen no statistical evidence that coming from one part makes you a better president than coming from another. The question is, when do we get our leaders to begin to show an understanding of what needs to be done to move this country forward? I've heard a lot about interest rates, about inflation. The central bank does monetary policy. You've got to look at the entire economy. What is our vision? How did China get where it got? In 1960, per capita income in Nigeria was higher than per capita income in South Korea. Where is South Korea today? When we were in the university and the debate was on dependency theory, the Latin American countries, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, they were all dying under fascist dictatorships. We all remember that. Today, it is official, Brazil is the 5th largest economy in the world. And China is the 2nd largest economy in the world. And the truth is, there is nothing that stops Nigeria from growing in double digits year on year. But to do this, we need first of all to understand that you cannot develop so long as you continue depending on primary production. We all learned the theory of comparative advantage, David Ricardo. When David Ricardo was writing his theory of comparative advantage, the British had colonies they were protecting with gunboats. They were protecting their markets. Anyone that tells you that Britain did not protect industries is lying. The British Industrial Revolution was founded on protection of domestic industry. Alexander Hamilton, the first US Secretary of Treasury after the Civil War, is the father of modern industrial policy. They give you David Ricardo, you export cocoa and banana. Tell me one nation in the world that has developed exporting bananas and cocoa. Terms of trade shift against you. And the Asians realized this, and they said, no, we will go to a free market, but we are going to build an industrial base where you have improved productivity of factors, you have economies of scale before you compete.